It's win and in for one of the best players in recent history. There's so much that can be said about Cristiano Ronaldo, more that can be said about his deep Portugal side as they take on Qatar for their second match. Or not Qatar, Uruguay. Wow. It's in Qatar, though. I ruined my whole intro. But Portugal, Uruguay coming up. Josh Sperber here with Carter Houlihan. And the stakes are high for both sides. Uruguay can't be eliminated. Portugal looking to punch their ticket into the knockout stages. And we've got a fun match shaping up on our hands, Carter.
Yeah, definitely one of the matches I've anticipated most in this World Cup. Being a Ronaldo lover and supporter, I always love to watch him play. And against what most thought was the second best team in his group, Uruguay, I think it's going to be a great matchup, a competitive matchup between the two.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more that can be said, really. These are definitely two of the strongest teams, definitely two of the deepest teams. I mean, the more you look at Uruguay's roster, the more players that jump off the page, though. But when you're looking at the starting lineups for Uruguay, you notice a very, very looming presence not in that starting 11, and that's Luis Suarez.
Yeah, and with Uruguay's disappointing, I guess maybe in their eyes, disappointing draw against Korea, where Suarez started. It's not time to panic yet for them, but this is a huge game for them. They can't mathematically be eliminated, but they do need to make some changes, tactically and personnel wise, to try and win this game. You don't want to leave it down to the last game. You want to win, and you want to be comfortable going into the last game.
Darwin Nunez and Edison Cavani are the two up front. Cavani, we all know his history. He's been a part of Uruguay's side for a number of World Cups. And Darwin Nunez, one of the more exciting young players in this tournament for sure.
Yeah, Darwin doing great at Liverpool. Had a rough start, but really picking up the goals now. And his big thing is just speed and physicality. And playing against Ruben Diaz, who is one of the most physical defenders I've seen in a while. He's used to playing him. He played him already in the Premier League, and I think that's a big help for Darwin getting comfortable knowing that back line because he's played against Cancelo as well too. So he knows how to play them. He won against Manchester City, so I think it's a controversial call, but I think it could end up benefiting Uruguay by starting Darwin.
And you talk about that back line of Portugal. Let's just look at that starting lineup because it is really just a who's who of some of the top teams in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a weak spot in this starting lineup. Some may say Pepe is a little old, maybe he's fallen off a little bit, but I mean, in terms of a starting center back, I think most countries would like a guy like Pepe starting at the defense for them. And even in the midfield, guys that aren't on top tier clubs in the world, Ruben Neves, William, they're still very solid guys and still on good European teams and provide for their teams. And then without even having to say anything about the attacking trio there, Bernardo Silva, Ronaldo, and João Felix. I know Rafael is on the bench, but João Felix had a good first game. I think he's deserved his stay in the second game. And I think this lineup just in general is one of the strongest that we'll see in this tournament.
And I think that Rafael Leo off the bench is just a massive boon for Portugal. He's a guy who's still kind of proving himself on the grander stage, had a great season, kind of a breakout year for him in AC Milan last year, but he could perfectly fill the role of a super sub.
Oh yeah, and imagine being one of the Uruguay defenders and marking João Felix for 70 minutes, and then you look to the sideline and see Leao warming up, getting ready to sub in. That's probably demoralizing for them.
Well, Uruguay will start with all. We're out set to kick things off from Qatar in the second match of this group stage. A win for Portugal, and they punched their ticket, much like Brazil did just earlier on with Cristiano Ronaldo's former teammate getting himself a knockout round clinching goal. Uruguay in their all whites, Portugal half white, half or half red, half green uniforms, golden lettering in one of my favorite World Cup jerseys, but it's quickly Portugal who controls the position. And which kind of third of the team, attacking, midfield, defense, which do you think is kind of the difference making group for these sides?
For Portugal, I definitely think it's their attacking side. Will they be able to produce? We saw them score 3 goals last time, but for the majority of the game, it was a very slow paced, not a lot of goals. And they eventually did get the breakthrough, but I thought their defense played well. I'm not really worried about Portugal giving up goals. I just see problems coming with the scoring for them. And for Uruguay, it's this attack. Will they be able to produce just like Portugal? That's probably their strong point um, of their squad. And if the attack doesn't play the way they're supposed to, then we could see a quick downfall for them.
And early on, you see Portugal controlling the possession and Uruguay's defense just collapsing around Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, the star man, the focal point for any defense, but we're just talking about Uruguay's today. Ronaldo in as the striker, Bruno Fernandes the right wing in this 4-3-3 for Portugal, pushing up one of the better passers in the league to try and give him some space, maybe on a cross to Ronaldo in the center. Light press for Uruguay as it's in the defense for Portugal with Ruben Diaz. Uruguay gets their first chance of the day. And that one goes wide thanks to Vecino.
Yeah, and we see a little bit there of Uruguay's pressing and just ability to play defensively and use that to their advantage. I think they're a very physical and defensive team, and I don't think when Portugal want to take control of the ball, want to slow things down, I don't think Uruguay is going to let that happen a lot of the time.
And you talk about the defense, it's another surprise in both lineups that I saw are the goalkeeping. Rui Patricio has been a mainstay in goal for Portugal over the last few years. He is on the bench in favor of Diogo Costa, who's the starter for FC Porto, and Sergio Rochette replacing a mainstay in Fernando Muslera.
Yeah, and like you said, those guys have been staples of their national team for however many years, but it does seem like that new generation of goalkeeping for those teams is starting to come in.
And a shot going above the net for Nuno Mendes off of a chest pass by Ronaldo. And it's still unclear. I think age might play a factor with Rui Patricio. But I know in the case of Uruguay, it's just a matter of who Diego Alonso, their manager, prefers. And that appeared to be Sergio Rochette.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth minute now, still scoreless. Been pretty even in possession. But as you said, Carter, that physicality of the Uruguay defense already playing a factor.
Yeah, and when I think
Diego
of
Godin, the leader there.
Yeah, when I think of Portugal, I kind of see, like a classy football team who likes to hold on to the ball, who likes to play good soccer, and then like a total 180 when I think of Uruguay, just effort and work rate and just beasts off the ball, doing all the blue collar work for their team. And so, when you have those two different styles clash, it's going to be fun to see, which one prevails.
And we have seen many a battle between the captain of Uruguay's defense, Diego Godin, against Cristiano Ronaldo back in both of their Madrid days.
Yeah, a great rivalry that Ronaldo seemed to always get the upper hand of, hat trick after hat trick on him, but we'll see how it plays out here.
I don't think that had much to do with Godin individually, just
No.
some of those teams that Ronaldo was on at Real Madrid. Joao Felix with the ball. Atletico Madrid's current star man, a big signing they made from Portuguese side Benfica. In his second year with the club, already blossoming into one of the best in La Liga. And a foul called on Fede Valverde, a guy who has been in Real Madrid's side for a couple of years, one of their youth players they developed, and really having a breakout campaign for Los Blancos as the first yellow card is issued.
Valverde is emerging this season and towards the end of last season as, in my opinion, a top 10 midfielder in the world. It just seems like he does not lack anything in his game. He's a jack of all trades, and just is kind of that engine behind Real Madrid's front line.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you there, as Ruben Neves is down, had his foot stepped on by Rodrigo Bentancur, guy who's been on a couple of top clubs in Europe. First yellow card of the day shown to Uruguay's number 6.
Speaking of Bentancur, just like Valverde, he's, just had a transfer over to Tottenham and is quickly becoming one of Tottenham's breakout players. He's had a tremendous season so far before this international break. So Uruguay has a couple of young emerging midfielders that can really be the backbone of this team for the future.
And Bentancur, a teammate of Ronaldo's at Juventus, really kind of struggled for time, was with that Italian side for a couple of years. But as you said, he's really getting a lot more minutes with Tottenham. As the ball's taken away, Uruguay's on the attack, but Fede Valverde has his pass intercepted. Now Mendes, PSG's left back, sends a nice cross, high arcing, that's headed back to Bernardo Silva. Low-driven shot, rolls out of bounds, and it's a goal kick. Cristiano Ronaldo playing a role in that attack, as he does. All-time leader in goals scored with 118 and in caps with 192 for Portugal.
Yeah, I mean, his legacy is stapled in world football with club and country, obviously winning that Euro. And this is honestly the only thing that he has left to put on his resume. Him and Messi, the only other possible thing they could win is the World Cup, probably the most coveted trophy in all of football.
And from people watching, we want to open this debate up to you guys in the comment section. It's the age-old question, Messi or Ronaldo? A long ball going in. Joao Felix giving chase as he finds possession outside the 18-yard box, set things back up for Portugal. Ronaldo to Nuno Mendes quickly. And it's going to go around Portugal's star-studded midfield. Bernardo Silva, the leader there. Now Ronaldo sends a pass into Fernandez. Fernandez to Felix. It's tackled away. And Valverde tries to clear it, but it's knocked out of bounds for a goal kick by Bruno Fernandes.
See just Portugal taking their time, finding out the right pass, finding out the right pocket. I think we're going to see that in a majority of this game, where Portugal is going to be on the ball and Uruguay is just going to be sitting in. I think it's going to be a bend but don't break type of game for Uruguay.
10th minute in this Uruguay-Portugal match. The Portuguese side looking to advance to the knockout stage. They could do so with a win here. They're up on goal differential and points as well. Currently the leaders in the group. Ghana in second after a stunning 3-2 win against South Korea earlier today.
Yeah, and I think the importance of getting through to the knockout stage in the second game is a little bit overlooked. It gives teams the ability to rest their players. There's so many games, such a large amount of games in such a small amount of time for these players at this tournament. So like Brazil, like France, and maybe Portugal after this game, they'll get to rest their players, kind of, relax a little bit, still try and win their third game, but really set their mentality going forward into the knockout stages.
And I think for Brazil especially, you have to see how crucial getting that advantage was with the injury to Neymar in the first game. They can afford to have him out of the starting lineup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Darwin Nunez now racing down the left side.
And who knows? I don't think there's a clear timetable on when Neymar will be back, but like you said, that is so important. Having the ability to rest him and try and get him back as quick as possible.
He definitely is out of the World Cup group stage. Unclear whether or not he can return to Brazil's side in the knockout stages. Uruguay controlling across into the box, a high header over the net. Diogo Costa, though, all over it for the Portuguese. But now with the goal kick, Uruguay really getting in deep on the attack there. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments, but yours as well, Carter, in the Messi versus Ronaldo debate, because, I mean, you got to figure that's something we have to bring up in a match like this when Ronaldo is, playing.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I've always been more on the leaning towards the Ronaldo side, but as I've matured and watched a little bit more soccer, I have two trains of thought on that. So first of all, I think Messi is the most talented footballer that's ever played. I think on the ball, off the ball, he's the more talented than Ronaldo is. But I think Ronaldo is better in terms of showing up when it's needed. He scores big goals in big games in Champions League finals. And I think that's something that he does just a little bit better than Messi. So in terms of having someone for the biggest game on the biggest stage, I think I would have to lean towards Ronaldo, but we will see like with what happens here. But for no doubt at all, Messi is the most talented. So there's not really an argument to that.
I think I'd have to agree there. And I know for me, there is a role of bias that certainly does play. The first soccer match I ever watched live was Real Madrid versus Valencia at the Bernabeu. Naturally, Ronaldo quickly became one of my favorite players. And I started rooting for Real Madrid as a result of it because, I mean, it's just an incredible atmosphere
Yeah.
at the Bernabeu. But you have to see, obviously, that Messi is one of the most talented players, if not the most talented player to ever play the game of soccer.
Yeah.
But my favorite cross-sport comparison for Ronaldo is Kevin Durant. Because Durant might not be the best NBA player of all time, but I think he is the best scorer.
Yeah.
And when it comes to pure goal scoring ability in soccer, I don't think there's anyone better than Ronaldo. But
No
again,
doubt.
Messi is one of the most well-rounded offensive players in soccer. I mean, the argument could be made in any sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that comparison.
Honestly, it's one of my most proud accomplishments. I don't think, at least I have not found a cross sport comparison that is more accurate than Ronaldo and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And it just so happens, I'm a Nets fan, so now they both play for my favorite team in each sport. At
Yeah,
least
it's
in
not bad.
some of their famous days, it just worked out like that, I guess.
Yeah.
But we want to hear your thoughts as well, and know it is one of the most popular debates among soccer fans as Uruguay's captain marking Portugal's captain, Godin, and sending the ball out in front of Cristiano Ronaldo. Now it's Ronaldo. Back to Mendes, pushing up very high in the Portuguese attack. Something that I'm sure we'll see a lot of with two fullbacks on this Portuguese side that have been known to join the attack. On the right side now with João Cancelo, who wears the number 7 shirt for Manchester City after Raheem Sterling's transfer. He sends it forward to his teammate Bernardo Silva, but it's out of bounds.
Yeah, and I think that's will be very important for Portugal, not only in the group stage but also in the knockout rounds. I think their team has the most diversity in terms of fullbacks. Like they have a great defensive option on the bench, Guerrero, who's not starting this game, but they also do have attacking options like Nuno Mendes and João Cancelo. If I watch him at Manchester City because I'm a Manchester City fan, and he is, after De Bruyne, may be the best attacker that Manchester City has, even though he's playing outside back.
And Yao Felix sends one over the net, deflected by Jose Maria Jimenez, another of his teammates at Atletico Madrid. And we'll have our first corner kick of the game. And yeah, I think Bernardo Silva certainly an underrated factor for Man City. But we talked about this before the broadcast started. Just some of the names on this Portuguese bench are absurd. They have a couple of guys who could easily be starters, but there's just too much talent on this team.
Yeah, and they also have a lot of young players as well on the bench, like Leao, Dalot, Mateus Nunes, who are guys playing in Europe right now, playing good for their clubs. But like you said, there's just too much firepower and too many strong names on this Portuguese side that they can't break into the starting lineup.
High arcing corner kick ends up at the feet of Nuno Mendes, and he gets taken down. No foul called, and advantage was not played. It's Vecino who knocked down Mendes, and a free kick in a dangerous area coming for Portugal. And I think that's a pretty clear foul.
Yeah.
Will end up a free kick about 25 yards out at the left edge of that 18-yard box.
Yeah, I think if this ball was placed a little bit more centrally, no doubt it's a shot on target for this free kick. But since it's more to the left, I'm curious to see if they're going to go with a cross or if they're just going to, give free rein to Ronaldo to do whatever here. Because we have seen him score goals like this in his career.
A more memorable one at the World Cup stage, finished off a hat trick to equalize against Spain in the opening match of 2018. Still one of the best World Cup goals I've ever seen was that curling free kick from around 30 yards out by the man standing over the ball right now. We have a fan who's hitting the Sioux in the comments. Shout out to Giuseppe D'Angelo. As Ronaldo sends the free kick in. High shot off the wall, and that's going to careen out of bounds for a second corner kick. And a well-executed defense of that free kick by Uruguay. It'll be Bernardo Silva from the right corner flag. Short corner, cross in. I think that was deflected back, and we'll go again. Fede Valverde coming on the ball for Uruguay.
A lot of pressure from Portugal right now. If they could bag a goal here, I think that would alleviate a lot of stress off their shoulders. An early goal, under 20 minutes.
And the Bernardos trade off on the free kick. Silva to Bruno Fernandes. High corner kick eludes everyone. Felix will chase, but he'll let it go out of bounds. And the attack comes to naught for Portugal. Bruno Fernandes, a former teammate of Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United. Ronaldo, though, set to leave Man U after his contract was terminated. Want to hear your thoughts on where you think he'll end up in the comments, and obviously the question coming to you, Carter, as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's a great talking point for the people in the comments. It's interesting. I think there's a lot of different avenues he could go down. Obviously, one being the MLS, but I don't think he's ready to admit to himself that the MLS may be an option for him. I still think he wants to be playing Champions League football. So I think you could see him go to maybe a Turkish side, a club in Italy, I still think there are teams out there that want him, but I don't think the next stop for him will be MLS. And same for Messi as well. I heard rumors of him that he was close to signing with Inter Miami. And once again, I just don't think I think they have a little bit left in the tank before they call it quits to the MLS.
I also just don't think that it would be fair to put either of them in the MLS.
No.
Like, I'm a huge supporter of the MLS. I think it is emerging as a league, but Ronaldo and Messi are two of the best players to ever play the game of soccer. And both of them, I think, can still play at a high level for a top team in Europe.
Yeah.
And the MLS, just as good as the league is, there is not a team that can handle that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said it perfectly. The MLS is growing exponentially. It's so much better than what it's been in years past. Very competitive, but like you said, they have a little bit left in the tank, to play at the highest level. Obviously, both of them are not what they used to be, but they're still really good football players.
And we have a couple of requests for where Ronaldo should go. I think that's NCFC has to be Newcastle now, unless I'm missing something. Besiktas seems to be an option thanks to Connor Dawson. University of North Carolina. Ronaldo's still eligible to play college soccer, right?
Yeah, I think he has a couple years in him.
God, could you imagine Ronaldo joining you at Lafayette next year? I think I'd like that.
I would like that as well.
Bernardo Silva now controls, sends it central. Nuno Mendes chips a pass, but it's headed away. And now Portugal controls again. Deflected, and now Uruguay will get control of the football as Diego Godin clears it. Chivas, another team. Ronaldo in the Mexican League. That'd be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
As a foul called, couple of high kicks, and Bruno Fernandes running into his Premier League rival in Darwin Nunez. 22 minutes have gone by. We're about halfway through the first half. And we are still scoreless. Portugal. Dangerous ball coming in for Ronaldo. Down the left side. Sends in the cross to no one, but Portugal retains possession. Bruno Fernandes to Felix. Cross sent in. Nothing doing there. Now back to Fernandes. Sent in for the header. Joao Felix. Mendes. Back to Felix. Portugal pulling the strings on offense. Seem to be controlling possession in this contest so far. Flip back to Fernandes. Low pass. Bernardo Silva. Keeps putting it back out. Uruguay clamping down at the right time here.
Yeah, and like I said
Portugal
earlier,
played in the back.
Yeah, I think one of the keys for Uruguay is going to be bending and not breaking. We see, Portugal with a lot of possession in the attacking third, but they haven't really gotten a clear chance off. And I think Uruguay is okay with them having the ball up there, as long as they're not getting anything dangerous.
We have a couple of interesting points. I think the most important one comes from Tennyson Winnick. Sorry about butchering your last name there, buddy, but he asked Carter what your best joke is. I think that's the debate we need to have.
Oh man, off the top of my head, I can't. Give me halftime to think about it, and then we'll come back in the second half, and maybe I can throw that one out there.
I'm gonna hold you to that, and I'm sure Tennyson will as well. Couple of good debates posed by Sebastian Varela as well. We're gonna start with the first one that he posed: Bruno or Bernardo, and comes to the bias here. I used to work for New York City FC, so going with that ownership group, I'm gonna say Bernardo. I think they're just two different players. Bruno is a more passing-minded player. and Bernardo, I think, is a better goal scorer. So I think it's pretty even, but I'm still going to go with Bernardo Silva. I think overall he's a more balanced player, and his scoring ability gives him a slight edge over Fernandes.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with you on that one. Little bit of Manchester City bias because I do support them, but I think off the ball he's just a very hard worker. I think Bruno may put up. I mean, obviously that one season Bruno had a ton of numbers, goals and assists, but I think what Bernardo Silva does necessarily doesn't show on the stat sheet for how important he is to the squad.
So we want to hear what you guys think in the comments. I know Sebastian didn't give an answer to that question, but certainly like to see that. And I think Eddie G might have topped your joke there.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can come up with one better than that.
Well done, Eddie. Big shout out to McKenna May in the studio for putting the comments up. If you guys stay active there, you can see your comment come on the screen. But I think we have a comment early candidate for winner of the comment section with that
Yeah,
joke there from Eddie G.
definitely.
27th minute now. Portugal has had a couple of chances, but as Carter continues to impose on this Uruguayan side, bending but not breaking. Long run for Fernandes, but the ball goes out of bounds, and it's a goal kick for the blue and white side. Seems like it's a very Portugal favored crowd in Qatar. You see a lot of the neutral sides going for the star power. I know there was I forget who released this poll, but something about like around 30% of neutrals in Qatar are going for Argentina because of Messi.
Mhm.
And you got to think that next on that superstar train is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. I mean, personally, if I was at this game, I would probably be wearing a Ronaldo jersey. And same if I was at an Argentina, unless they were playing the US, obviously. But if I'm a neutral at an Argentina or Portugal game, I'm either wearing a Messi or Ronaldo jersey.
I'm pretty sure I have both the Messi and Ronaldo jersey somewhere in my parents' house. I know I have a Ronaldo one. I bought a Real Madrid Ronaldo and an Iker Casillas jersey when I was
Mm.
studying in Madrid. And I probably got some cheap knockoff Barcelona Messi jersey from
Yeah.
just being in Barcelona because they'll just throw them at you in the streets. Not really, but I mean, I was in Barcelona in like 2010 at the peak of Messi's powers, so
Yeah.
those things were everywhere.
Right.
29th minute now. Uruguay looks to get an attack going, but instead it's taken away by Portugal. Fernandes switches the play to Joao Cancelo, and the Man City duo looking to get something started. Quick 1-2 as Cancelo goes forward. Now Neves. Long ball in to Ronaldo. Header right into the awaiting arms of the Uruguayan keeper. And it was Bruno Fernandes on the shot, but Sergio Rocher on what more like an interception than a save. But good long passing. Portugal certainly controlling the passing game
Yeah,
comparative.
and that's one of the times that we've seen Portugal attack with a little bit of pace. And that's something, although they do like controlling the game and taking it a little bit slower, they do have the ability to speed things up when they need to and play with some pace on the attack.
And obviously the midfield pulling the strings. A lot of guys who can send long passes. Certainly the MO of William Carvalho and Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, guys who can just pass with the best of them. As Cancelo has it stripped. Low cross in, headed away by Pepe, and it's a throw in deep in Portuguese territory for Uruguay. Half an hour through. We've seen a pretty quiet game from the Uruguayan strikers, but they've really been playing on their heels with Portugal ramping up the pressure, trying to secure them a space in the knockout stage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I know we got the drop for this game, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see the Barca and Liverpool legend make an appearance at some point.
I mean, the question is just who do you take out? Suarez for Cavani seems like the right idea with Cavani, certainly losing a step in terms of his stamina at his advanced age. But, you got to think about the old 1-2 up top for Uruguay, something that they've had a lot of success with at the international stage over the years with Luis Suarez and Edinson Cavani paired up front.
Yeah, it's almost like experience versus like athleticism at this point. Obviously, Cavani and Suarez are both definitely in a lot better shape than I am, but Darwin Nunez is just a young guy who can run all day long, and he can definitely play 90 minutes for Uruguay if need be.
He was one of the leading goal scorers for Benfica last year, earned himself a transfer north of 60 million coming to the Liverpool FC juggernaut in the Premier League. They have struggled early on in the EPL season.
Yeah, they have. A lot of Liverpool fans think it's due to playing, the most possible games last season. They haven't had a lot of time to rest and stuff. I think they'll get back on track, to be honest. I still think they're a top team in the world. They obviously beat Manchester City. And I think Darwin Nunez is finally finding form for them. I can't remember the stat, but over his last 5 games, he has a ton of goals for them.
And a solo attack for Uruguay and a fantastic save. Diogo Costa stops what would have been an incredible 1-versus-everyone goal by Bentancur. Coming off his line and making a huge save as Bentancur weaved his way through the Portuguese defense.
Yeah, that was incredible. And he's a name that we brought up before, obviously playing very well for Tottenham, but that solo run, just weaving in and out of the defenders, couldn't get the finish, but that's promising from Uruguay right there.
Finish not on his part. That's got to be the save of the tournament so far.
Yeah, made himself big, closed down the angle, and very close to a nutmeg goal, but got enough on it so it didn't sneak past him. Great save.
Off the left thigh of Diogo Costa. What a play. So somehow we are still scoreless. 34th minute as Costa controls, flips it out to Ruben Diaz. Again, Portugal is in a win and you're in scenario. Uruguay in a holding pattern, just looking to grab as many points in this final group stage match. Now the Uruguayans on the counter, but Cavani has it stolen away. Long pass coming up to Felix. Numbers back for Uruguay. Felix trying to make a move. Sends it to Bernardo Silva. Cuts back towards the middle. Silva backwards to Nuno Mendes, and the attack stalls a bit for Portugal. More calculating possession coming now. This Portuguese side has controlled the ball for 2/3 of this match in the early going. 66% on possession. Cancelo. Back to Diaz. All the way back to Pepe. Now it's Felix. Ronaldo. Looking to cut in. Long distance shot. Hits off his teammate. Goes right back to the Portuguese captain. Sends it to Felix. Long distance shot. Roller again hits off a Portuguese player. And it's a goal kick for Uruguay. It was Felix on the shot. Bernardo Silva on the deflection out of bounds. Looks like it hit off a couple of Uruguayan defenders as well.
Yeah, and if I'm Uruguay, obviously these Portuguese attackers have the ability to score off these long distance shots, but I can't be too upset with them. It's definitely not the most efficient way to score. So I'll let that slide a little bit if I'm a Uruguay defender.
Long ball going ahead for Uruguay. Ball in the middle of the park. And while play is stalled just a little bit, I want to get to that other debate that we're apparently not ready for. In Connor Dawson saying that Darwin Nunez is a top 3 striker in the world already. I'm guessing you're a Liverpool fan, Connor.
It would seem so with that comment, because I think only Liverpool fans would believe that one.
He might be a top 3 striker in the Premier League, but that's a big if.
Yeah.
I don't know if he is a top 3 striker in the world currently. I do think he has the potential to get there within 5 years. I think we could easily say that. But, I mean, just off the top of your head, you got to think of Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, Cristiano Ronaldo,
Benzema,
Romelu Lukaku might need to get in that conversation, Benzema, the Ballon d'Or winner, Robert Lewandowski. I think just off the bat, those are guys that I think are ahead of Nunez. But I think that Nunez at his young age, he's what, 19? Like, he's very young.
yeah, very young.
I think he's a tier 2 striker on the planet. I think that he's definitely on the up and coming kind of list. But to say he's top 3 in the world might be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you on that one.
Nuno Mendes racing for it. Godin back to defend for Uruguay. 37th minute. Long distance shot. Fernandez knocks it off the face of an Uruguayan defender. Portugal in complete control of this match. Cross coming in. Ronaldo off his chest. Sends it towards the center. Cleared away. Cristiano Ronaldo had a bit of a chance close, but as Carter was saying, Uruguayan's defense bending, but certainly not breaking.
Yeah, and I think, like I said before, I think Uruguay is, their defense is fine with these slow, long attacks that Portugal is having, where they're just probing and pinging the ball around the box, but not necessarily getting into the box. I think the key for Portugal is to speed it up a little bit, maybe. Uruguay's ready for that slow-paced attack, so get in behind, get some speed behind the attack, and, maybe that could throw Uruguay off their game a little bit.
That should be a foul called, and it is. Bernardo Silva will pick up a yellow card, and Uruguay will have a chance. As right outside the 18-yard box, we have a foul on Guillermo Varela. So a free kick for Uruguay, a set piece, could earn them their best chance of the game. And correction, it is Ruben Neves who gets the yellow.
Yeah, and for a team like Uruguay, especially in this game, who's not seen a lot of the attacking side, these set pieces are going to be crucial for them, especially with guys like Godin in the box at the end of the set piece. You got to try and find his head to maybe stick something in the back of the net here.
And Cavani, Coates, also tall targets that could see the end of this free kick. Fede Valverde stands over it alone. 39th minute, still scoreless in the second game of Group H's knockout or group stage. Uruguay fighting to just keep pace in the group. Portugal win and they're in. As the referees are really policing the kind of scrum in this free kick here. Jimenez, Godin, Cavani, and Coates, the 4 players ready to be targeted for Uruguay. Valverde sends the cross in, knocked away by Portugal, who had about their entire team surrounding that in the 18-yard box. Nuno Mendes clears it away. And Varela will control for Uruguay as it goes all the way back to their goalkeeper. We've reached the 40-minute mark. Still scoreless. Portugal with the lion's share of the shots, outshooting Uruguay 9-4.
Yeah, and I think from a neutral standpoint, this first half has been a little bit slow, paced, not a lot of shots, not a lot of opportunities, but I don't think, if you support either Uruguay or Portugal, I don't think you can be upset with how this half has gone so far. Portugal obviously had a lot of the possession, a couple long distance shots, but for Uruguay, you had that one chance from Bentancur, and you haven't given up any goals yet. You've kept Portugal out of your box. Your defense has been composed. Um, so I don't think either side can be upset with how this first half has been going.
And Nuno Mendes going to be helped off by a trainer. He does not look to be in good spirits, as he may be forced to exit this match early with an injury. We'll try and keep posted on that. But I think you're absolutely right, Carter. You look at Portugal, they've been controlling the possession, controlling the pace of the game, and Uruguay's been lethal on the counter, and that's really all you can hope for. I mean, four
Yeah,
shots from a team who has less than 40% of the possession, I'd
yeah,
say that's pretty good.
yeah, exactly. And like we were talking about before with this Nuno Mensch injury, obviously a big blow. We'll see if he gets subbed off or not. But yeah, you still have Rafael um, Guerrero coming in if for his replacement if he does come in, who is you know not necessarily a star, but definitely a top player at his position in Europe.
And that will be the substitution. Nuno Mendes, Paris Saint-Germain left back, heads to the locker room. Rafael Guerrero, his replacement, who plays the same position at Borussia Dortmund, will come on for the Portuguese side. So an early exit due to injury, and that's a big loss for Portugal. Obviously, the depth in their bench to mask it, but Nuno Mendes has been a spark plug for this Portuguese team so far. Guerrero, his first touch is a throw-in, deflected, and now it's back to Uruguay. Varela sends the cross in, easily knocked away by Ruben Diaz. Varela again, Portugal in control. Ronaldo all the way back, and he's pulled down by his former teammate in Fede Valverde. Oh, I need new glasses. That was Fernandez who got knocked down.
And this comment from Sports Business Review, who do we got in this one? Before the match, I was all in on Portugal. Definitely heavily favorited, I think. But after this first half, I don't know. They haven't gotten any clear-cut chances. I could easily see this one being a 0-0 draw or a 1-0 Portugal or 1-0 Uruguay. I don't think we'll see more than one goal in this game. So I'm kind of leaning towards a draw.
I definitely am leaning towards a draw as well, but I was in agreement with you. I thought that Portugal would be not easily into the knockout, but definitely in with a win after this contest. I think
Mhm.
that there is going to be one of two things is going to happen. I think it's either going to just stay a stalemate because both sides are going to be just at each other's throats as we have a yellow card issued to Uruguay. Matias Oliveira the gets the card. But I think one of two things is going to happen. I think it's just going to be a stalemate and then in a scoreless draw, or there's going to be a goal explosion in the second half. And I'm leading towards that. Both of these guys have had some really good chances. I think it's going to end in a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Wow. Yeah, I mean, hey, as a neutral, I would love to see 4 goals in one half of soccer. So I definitely like that prediction. And we'll see like the tactical changes and personnel changes each team makes at half to try and get those goals on the board.
45th minute. We'll see an extra time number shortly. And Portugal losing the battle out of bounds, but they maintain possession Uruguay's midfield, I think, has been the key for them. Great defense from Uruguay there. The cross deflected out of bounds. Corner kick number 4 for Portugal. 3 minutes of extra time. We might see a ball sent into Cristiano Ronaldo. 8 World Cup goals. 1 in each of the last 5. First man to accomplish that feat. Outswinger from Fernandes, deflected away. Here's Neves. He has it stripped, and it's cleared away by Uruguay, but only the Portuguese are back. Guerrero sending it all the way back to his keeper.
And only three minutes of added time. I think that may be the shortest that we've seen at this World Cup with the new added time rule in place. But yeah, this game has been pretty fluid so far besides the Nunes injury. See if that keeps up in the second half.
And definitely a loss in pace when it comes to Guerrero.
Yeah.
But obviously still a very capable left back, a guy who can play multiple different positions for the Portuguese side. You can see him easily in a number 6 or a 2 or 5 role for this Portuguese team, or Mendes, just a whole lot of pace coming up that left side. Foul called. William Carvalho goes down, and Portugal will control it. Just about a minute left in this first half. Vecino not carded, but a foul certainly issued, and Ruben Diaz will take the free kick. He's a guy who's really skyrocketed since coming to Manchester City for around 50 million euros a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for anyone who transfer over to Man City not to excel in their career with being under the wing of Pep Guardiola. I think that's a perfect move for Ruben Diaz. I think, Pep is bringing the best out of his abilities. And obviously today he's one of, if not the best, defenders in the world. I think the only other person in contention for that may be Virgil van Dijk. But like we've been talking about, him and Liverpool have been having a little bit of a slow season to the start. And him with Netherlands haven't had the greatest start to this World Cup either.
I mean, it's been a really even match in that group, really even matchup in that Group A, but Netherlands in the pole position on goal difference, them in Senegal at 4 points. But the half ends here. Scoreless in the first half. Rodrigo Bentancur with the best chance for Uruguay, but Portugal with no shortage of chances in the first half. We're going to come back with our first half analysis, and maybe Carter will have that joke for his buddy Tennyson. Stick with us. State of Soccer has another World Cup watch-along for the rest of this match. Scoreless between Portugal and Uruguay. We are back in what has been one of the most hotly contested matches in the first half of this tournament. Portugal and Uruguay knotted up in a scoreless draw. Josh Sperber and Carter Houlihan here for you. And Carter, it has been just a really great match between these two storied sides.
Yeah, tightly contested to start. Portugal, obviously, with a lot of possession, a lot of movement on the ball. Couple shots, couple corner kicks here and there, but the main chance of the half came from a quick counterattack solo run from Bentancur, who, didn't slot it away, unfortunately. Keeper made like you said, one of the best saves so far of the tournament. It was truly a great save. But yeah, I would like to see in the second half, what type of changes are the teams going to make? Who are they going to bring on? We talked about if Suarez is going to come on or not. Are we going to see the likes of Rafael Leao come on? So it'll be interesting to see what types of changes these teams will make coming into the second half.
Yeah, I think the Suarez certainly the big what if for Uruguay, seeing maybe a third striker added or him replacing one of the two top men up front for Uruguay. But Rafael Guerrero coming on for Nuno Mendes after the injury, certainly a big change for Portugal.
Yeah, and that just kind of shifts their back line from being a very attacking duo on the outside of their back line from only having Cancelo, kind of being that guy on the attack. Guerrero, I'm sure, can do the job, can whip in good balls, can link play and stuff like that, but he is nowhere near as attacking as Cancelo or Nunes Mensch have been. So they already took a hit to their attack a little bit there with that one. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all, as we saw in the first game. If and when, I feel like it's a matter of when Rafael comes on and, what type of impact he's going to make on the front line for Portugal.
And I have in the background here ESPN's kind of estimate of the formations for each side. And the way they've drawn up Portugal's, they have morphed theirs from a 4-3-3 to a 4-1-2-1-2. And just by the way that they have kind of changed that, you have William Carvalho kind of morphed to the left wing, where I think Leao is most dangerous, putting Neves in that 6 role. And I think that just to start the second half, William Carvalho has been, I don't want to say non-existent, but he has been a lot quiet.
Yeah.
He's been a lot more quiet. I think Leao for William Carvalho makes a lot of sense even to start off the second half.
Yeah, and we'll see if changes are made right out of halftime. In my opinion, I don't think any changes will be made for either side right out of halftime. I think both sides can be relatively happy about their first half performance. I think we'll start to see changes maybe around the 55th to 60th minute mark. But yeah, I do think the first change for Portugal definitely needs to be Leao. Whether that's taking off Carvalho, changing up formations, or if it's just going to be a straight swap for maybe João Felix. We'll see what happens.
Well, we have two guys that are looking for a debate from us. David Mizrahi and Sean McIntyre both asking what we think of Guillermo Varela's performance. I'll start with you on that, Carter. How do you think that Uruguay's midfielder has played, the number 13 for the blue and white side?
Yeah, and I mean, like we said, we haven't seen a lot of Uruguay on the ball today. I think he's been, full effort workhorse running up and down the flank, making tackles when he needs to. Obviously, we haven't heard his name. We haven't said his name a lot. And that just doesn't go for him. I think that's pretty much for everyone on Uruguay. But I think his effort and the whole midfield of Uruguay's effort to keep Portugal out of their box, keep them in less dangerous areas has been very tremendous today.
Yeah, it could be argued that he's been the best midfielder for Uruguay in the first half. Defensively, I think that's certainly the case. He's been very physical, a couple of nice takeaways. And some fouls that haven't been that that just like kind of bad challenges. He's made a couple of good plays on defense. I think that is how he's affected the game most. But he has been really strong in the South Uruguay. But I mean, talking about that midfield, that has really been the saving grace for this Uruguayan side.
Yeah, obviously, with that Bentancur chance, that's really given life to Uruguay, and with Valverde in there, you just can't go wrong with Valverde, being the engine in your midfield. I think he's someone that does need to step up a little bit this second half on maybe carrying the ball a little bit more, maybe taking his space a little bit better, finding better passes. But in the first half, from a defensive standpoint, yeah, I don't think Uruguay's midfield could have done much better. Um, they didn't have a lot of opportunity to attack with the ball, but we'll see if their tactics change a little bit for them to be a little bit more attacking. And if that's the case, then yeah, those two guys, need to be better on the ball and take their chances moving forward.
I think that it's difficult to say which the best group is, whether it goes to defense, attack, or midfield for each side. It can be argued that the strength of both of these sides is in the depth of their midfield. Who is winning that battle so far?
Yeah, I mean the midfield battle it's a tale of two different sides. Like I just said, um, Portugal's midfield has been good at keeping the ball, but they also haven't made any really dangerous passes going forward. They haven't found any slip runs. They haven't found anyone in the box necessarily. So in terms of keeping the ball, Portugal's midfield has done great at that. I think what do they have 75% possession maybe, but it's all whether or not Uruguay's midfield is okay with that. I know they stacked five in the midfield for their 3-5-2. So I think they're fine with them keeping the ball as long as those slip run passes, those dangerous balls into the box don't happen. So I think in Uruguay's minds, they're winning the midfield battle because Portugal's midfield battle or midfielders, haven't created as much as maybe Portugal hoped to have create so far.
And there has been 3 yellow cards, 2 in Uruguay's midfield with Oliveira and Bentancur. Ruben Neves getting a yellow for Portugal as well. But that could be the two sides pulling the strings in this second half. And we talked about, I think we both are in agreement that this game could very much end in a draw. Any updated opinions on how you think this game will shape out with each side starting to take the pitch?
I mean, just based on the first half alone, just based on the lack of the ball that Uruguay had, if they don't make any tactical changes and keep the same style of play they had in the first half, I don't really see them scoring a goal. They had one quick counter opportunity that unfortunately didn't go in. But yeah, for Portugal, like in the first half, I don't think they had any dangerous opportunities. I think they had the ball in dangerous areas, but not necessarily a dangerous opportunity. So I think if these two teams play like they did in the first half, which we won't know until we see the second half, I do think that it'll be a 0-0 draw. But I know you went with 2-2. You're leaning towards the 2-2 draw. So give us a little background or thoughts on what you're thinking there.
I mean that definitely. I was going to start talking about the strikers, but that plays pretty well into what I was going to say about that anyway, because I just think there's too much talent up front for both of these sides for this game to end in a scoreless draw. You have Darwin Nunez, who's quickly becoming one of the most exciting players on the world, Edinson Cavani, Cristiano Ronaldo, both arguably the two best goal scorers for their country. I mean, well, it's not really an argument for Ronaldo in Portugal. I think it's safe to say he's the best Portuguese player to ever play the game of football. But I just think there's too much talent up front for goals not to be scored in this contest. And Portugal especially, they're going to have some more urgency. 69% of the possession in the first half and not a goal or even a shot on goal to their name. But we are underway. Does not look like either side has made a change coming into the second half. as Portugal starting with possession. Ronaldo goes down and an early foul inside the first minute of the second half. Josh Sperber and Carter Houlihan here. Sebastian Coates gets the foul for Uruguay inside the first minute of the half. Big Uruguayan defender, 6'4", in the center of the defense for Uruguay, and also Ronaldo's former side in Sporting Club de Portugal.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that just, buffs up this back line a lot. Obviously, Godin is a strong and physical defender, but I don't believe he's 6'4". It's just a little intimidating seeing that back line of Godin, who's a player, who's gotten a little bit older, still isn't playing at the highest level, but still for national, for his national team is definitely a great player. And Coates is he's a big body to have back there, and it's never bad to have a big body on your defense.
And Jose Maria Jimenez, another guy who's one of the top center backs. But I mean, also, Godin's got a little bit older, but in his heyday, when he was in his prime with Atletico Madrid, you could easily have made an argument that he was the best center back on the planet for some time.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely an argument. The only other two people that could be in contention for that, I believe, was Sergio Ramos and Jerome Boateng. But between those three, they definitely take the 1, 2, and 3 spots. I think it's pretty interchangeable between them. But yeah, when he was in his prime, he was a beast.
Yeah, I think of those three, a little bit of bias, but I would go Ramos, Godin, and then Boateng. Mm-hmm. But again, it was pretty much interchangeable between those three. But we might see a play from center backs here as Bruno Fernandes is setting up for the corner. Instead, it will be a short corner for Portugal inside the third minute of this second half. Also, one thing we're not going to forget about, we're still waiting on that joke from you, Carter.
I had a couple, yeah. I thought of a couple one. None are as funny as the Ronaldo one, because that was clever. Yeah, that was clever.
Eddie, I'm not gonna Eddie G. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna use that at parties and pretend like I made it up. So I apologize to you in advance.
The one I thought was pretty funny that I thought of was why doesn't a grasshopper play soccer?
Why not?
Because it plays cricket. Obviously not as good as Eddie G's, but
that's a good one.
That's the best that I could come up with.
If I end up going to a cricket match out here in Australia, that's another one that I'm going to have to say.
Yeah, with all due.
Well done. I think that's a good joke. If any of you guys have jokes, feel free to put them in the comment section, but obviously keep it clean. This is a family atmosphere. Foul called against Uruguay, and it shows how physical that they have been. Ruben Neves on the carpet for the Portuguese side. And another potential player for Portugal who is currently down injured, 49th minute, and Ruben Neves looks like he is in a lot of pain. You see a lot of midfielders getting loose for Portugal. João Mario, a guy who's getting himself ready. Danilo Pereira, another player on Paris Saint-Germain, seems to be a guy who would be a good straight swap for Carvalho if he ends up staying down.
And I think that's one of the common misconceptions about soccer, is that everyone's all on the ground flopping always and they're not really hurt. But if you take a metal stud to the foot or the shin, that is going to put you in a tremendous amount of pain. And you might not feel it right away, but you are definitely going to feel it in an hour, the next morning, the next day. We see with Neymar, I don't know if you saw the picture, but his ankle looked like a bowling ball. It was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like he had a kneecap on his ankle.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then we'll see a guy go down just to try and waste some time, just to try and get a foul. But a lot of the times when people go down, it's because they're in actual pain.
Neves fortunately able to soldier on. 50th minute here. We are still scoreless as play is stopped again, as we have a fan on the pitch. Obviously, that's not something they're going to cover, but you did see a fan run in holding some kind of flag. There's really no place for that in any kind of sport, but that we've seen that happen quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think it's getting more and more prevalent as time goes on. I think a lot of people are not fearing the consequences of it, and just trying to make a statement, or if it's just for fun. But yeah, I've heard people talking, not people, but clubs at England have been talking about maybe putting up fences behind the goals, or something to try and stop this trend of fans running onto the pitch.
And you have Felix running forward, sends a searching ball in. Felix, the shot outside of the net. And that was Portugal's best chance, but Joao Felix on ending a nice breakaway with a shot into the left side of the net.
Yeah, and that's really good from Portugal there. Like I said in the first half, I think a key for them, to try and get a goal is attack with a little bit more pace, not just sit around and probe. And we see them there have a quick counterattack, and they played with pace. And Yao Felix had his opportunity on the left side. Just unfortunate not to put it on target.
So each team now with a pretty clean-cut goal-scoring chance. It was Bentancur's solo effort in the first half. Now Joao Felix inches away from getting himself on the board. 53rd minute here. We are still scoreless. Definitely want to hear what you guys think. Really loved how active everyone was in the comments section in the first half. Hopefully we can keep that up. Want to hear your guys' thoughts on this match so far, because obviously this is what we do these for. We love to have you guys engage with us on the broadcast. Long distance shot from Uruguay right into the awaiting arms of Diogo Costa. And now Portugal slowly bringing the ball up, a little bit more pace in the midfield. Neves to Guerreiro. Guerreiro, I don't think he's pushed forward as much as Nuno Mendes had, but certainly joining the attack from the left side for Portugal.
Yeah, and I think, with him being in instead of Nunez, I don't think the tactics change at all there. I still think you want him to push forward. He has the ability, maybe not the pace, but he does have the ability to link up, put balls into the box, and be a good attacking threat, even though, he may not be as good as Nuno Mendes at it.
And a cross in for Ronaldo, the header, and that goes in. Portugal strikes first, and it's Bruno Fernandes. I don't even think that hit Ronaldo's head, but no goals flashed up just yet. But it appears Portugal has struck first. Fernandes, in what looked like a cross, ended up in a long-distance effort.
And definitely by the celebration, it seems like Ronaldo's claiming it. We'll have to check the replay to see if that skimmed off his head a little bit. But yeah, great ball in from Fernandes and a great run to freeze the keeper, because even if it didn't touch Ronaldo, the keeper had to think about what if it did. So it kind of froze him and just allowed that ball to sneak into the far post.
I think that's just really, it's hard to see if Ronaldo touched it. And yeah, it looks like he did. It got off his head on the left side, very slightly, but just enough, kind of a tap-in header for Ronaldo and Portugal. So his 9th career World Cup goal puts Portugal ahead. And right now, the Portuguese team would advance to the knockout stage if the score holds.
And Eddie G, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this game is being played at night. So maybe he can see.
Always good to call that one back.
Yeah.
The World Cup goal record, I believe, is still 13. Thomas Muller, I believe, holds that mark, overtaking Miroslav Klose in the last Or I think in 2014 he might have.
I can fact check that real
But
quick.
Cristiano Ronaldo certainly up on that leaderboard.
I believe he just tied Eusebio for Portugal World Cup goals for being number one with 9 now. So I think he needs one more to take that title away.
But either way, Cristiano Ronaldo continues to be the difference maker for Portugal. 1-0 in the 57th, and Portugal does not look like they're done. Heavy possession. Ronaldo sends the pass in. He's knocked down. No whistle blown. And Uruguay pushing forward. Cross in, no one there to meet it. And it ends up in the chest of Diogo Costa. That was Darwin Nunez. With Ronaldo still down, looked like he had his ankle stepped on or some kind of connection. Definitely looked like he knocked feet with Nunez.
Mm-hmm. It's also just funny to see, Messi, obviously Argentina playing their games before Portugal. Just, maybe seeing Messi score has given him extra motivation to get one himself, because obviously Messi had that penalty in the first game. So did Ronaldo. Messi had a beautiful goal in the second game for Argentina, and now Ronaldo matches him again. So they're both on 2 goals now.
I remember reading an article about Federer and Nadal in kind of the height of their powers, early to mid 2010s, talking about how the success of the other motivated each other.
Yeah.
And it might not be as well documented as a big goal scoring chance for Edin Cavani trickle wide. It might not be as well documented, but you have to think that's the case. I mean,
Yeah.
People are going to talk about Messi and Ronaldo hand in hand for the rest of time. And you got to think that the success of one motivates the other. And that had to especially be the case when they were playing on rival teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Right now, Argentina fighting for their life in Group C. Their match against Poland is just in a couple of days on. I'm not going to try and do the conversion into Eastern time because I just don't know that. Not where I am now. But Ronaldo has Portugal sitting pretty. We're almost at the hour mark in this match. Portugal in complete control here with a goal to their side for Cristiano Ronaldo and the Portuguese. Now they have more freedom to play towards the back as they do here with Pepe in control.
I think we're going to see Uruguay opened up a little bit more. They can't sit in so defensive now. Although they're not going to be mathematically eliminated from the group after this game, if the score stays the same, they cannot just sit back and let this be a 1-0 game. I think that'll open up Portugal to hit some more counterattacks, hit some more fast-paced attacks. And I also think we'll see more chances from Uruguay now. They're going to bring up their pressure on the attack a little bit.
And right on cue, it's Darwin Nunez who's trying to take matters into his own hands. Long distance shot, though. Easy save for Diogo Costa. But yeah, I mean that's really the MO of Uruguay. They're not a fast-paced team. Definitely more counterattack oriented, and they've got a chance here. But I don't want to say they park the bus, but they do definitely rely on their defense in a slower pace than Portugal is playing. And that's going to be a tough strategy against Ghana next time. They have scored more goals than any team in Group H. 2 in the loss against Portugal and 3 in the shocking win over Heung-min Son and South Korea in the second match of Group H earlier on.
Yeah, and I also think that's a reason maybe why you don't take out Darwin Nunez for Suarez. Maybe take out Cavani. I think you need Nunez's pace on the counterattacks. I don't think Cavani and Suarez have that pace in their locker anymore.
And a high, I don't know if that was a cross or a shot, but it goes away from everyone. Out of bounds for Uruguay. Nunez, the intended target from Jose Maria Jimenez. As Luis Suarez is up and warming for Uruguay. You got to imagine with a goal down, that Suarez is coming in.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
1 hour gone by. Portugal with a 1-0 lead. As that's knocked away, out of bounds, another throw-in for Joao Cancelo in the Portuguese side. I'm sure Sean McIntyre is pleased with Portugal coming in the lead. 1-0 the score here. Cancelo has it intercepted, and Uruguay on the attack now. Searching ball in, and a man down right in front of the 18-yard box. Darwin Nunez was grabbed by the jersey and pulled down to the turf. Ruben Diaz knocks him down, and we're going to see 2 substitutions for Uruguay.
Yeah, this is a dangerous area.
First one to come in, Matias Vecino is exiting. Georgian de Arrasqueta will come on. And Diego Godin, a really surprising substitution for Facundo Pelestri. And it looks like Uruguay is going to shift to 4 in the back now instead of 3, trying to get the fullbacks to join their attack.
Yeah, really interesting call there from Uruguay. But yeah, definitely being down a goal, you do need that formation change, I think. And they're going to need their fullbacks to be fully involved in the attack here.
Diego Alonso really shaking things up as a dangerous attack, a deflection in, and that is going to end up with Pepe, who's going to clear it. Fede Valverde almost deflected a clearance into the net a la Karim Benzema back in the 2018 Champions League final.
Yeah, and if Carter Dawson is still in the chat, I don't know if he'll like that one. I don't know if he's a Liverpool fan or not, but from that comment that he made, that's probably a little PTSD thinking about that.
I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say he is, because as good as Darwin Nunez is, calling him a top 3 striker in the world seems like something a Liverpool fan would say about that guy. As we get another here, Valverde inches away. Certainly got good contact on the foot, but, a ball hit with the pace that Diego Costa hit it with is going to deflect off the foot a long way. While Felix slips, but ends up getting the ball out wide to Fernando Cancelo. Low cross in, looking for Ronaldo. He goes down. Portugal still in control, but Valverde will clear it away for Uruguay. Sent on the attack by the blue and white side, but Pepe controls it, clears it out of bounds. Getting involved in the attack was Georgian de Arrasqueta. Name I'm going to have a lot of difficulty pronouncing, so I apologize in advance. But a really close ball. Good late deflection by Uruguay. Matias Oliveira on a yellow card. Still making an impact defensively. 1-0 the score. Portugal, about 60% of the possession now. Uruguay, though, ramping up an increase in possession. They have control on the left side. The searching ball coming in, a header right into the Portuguese defense, and it's cleared away. Ball back at midfield with Uruguay. Sent in. Now Diaz will look to clear it. Felix looks for the give and go. A foul called and a free kick one for Jose Maria Jimenez in Uruguay right at the center of the pitch.
Yeah, and I think that formation change has had an immediate impact for Uruguay. I think last couple plays have been the most dangerous they've had on the attack. Besides that solo run, they seem to have a little bit more of the ball, a little bit more control of possession. kind of directing the tempo in this game and a little bit. And I think that's due to their formation change.
And Palistri, Arrasqueta, both been pretty active in the attack so far as Uruguay needs to ramp up the aggression. Ruben Neves coming back in defense. He had a scary moment with an injury early on, but appears to have shaken off the effects of that. Right now it's Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes in Uruguay, as it is Fernandes now, I believe, awarded with that goal. The VAR refs looked at it, and Fernandes credited with the goal, as it apparently did not brush off the head of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, and it was tough to tell in the replays whether or not it had come off Cristiano. Obviously, he's going to claim it, and if it looks like he's claiming it, that's what the announcers are going to think. But I think that's the right call, giving that one to Bruno.
I don't think it really matters to Ronaldo who scored the goal. I know he just wants that trophy at the end of all this. I know in one of our videos with State of Soccer early on, Brian and I went through some of our World Cup predictions. My prediction for the final, Messi and Argentina over Ronaldo and Portugal. I still stand by that, with Saudi Arabia's result or not.
Yeah, and I think that is something that would just make the whole world just stand still for 90 minutes. I think no matter what sport we're talking about, no matter anything, that'll by far be the greatest sporting event in this world's history.
At the world's biggest stage, honestly, it even transcends soccer.
Yeah.
Two of the most recognizable superstars on the planet. Two of the best that this game of soccer, the world's game, has ever seen. Meeting in the final, one of whom would come away with World Cup glory, their first ever. It would be true. Like, I don't even think there are words to quantify how incredible that would be.
No, I don't think so either. And, from a neutral, if the U.S. knocks out, then that is by far the final that I would want to see. Even if the U.S. is still in it, maybe as a soccer fan, just in general.
Oh, don't get me wrong. In my fake bracket, I have the USA winning. But that's neither here nor there. There is a substitution for Portugal, a subs that we predicted. Rafael Leão, AC Milan star man, coming on, and Ruben Neves, who has been really solid in the middle of the park for Portugal, will get a rest for the rest of this match.
Yeah, I think that's smart. He had a little bit of a scare earlier in the game. And with this attacking substitution, if they can get another goal or just even see this game out, then Ruben Neves has the luxury of maybe not even playing their next group stage game, and resting up if he's injured, just because of, they've already clinched their knockout stage.
It is interesting, though, for Portugal to put on another very offensive substitution at this stage with this score in the match. But it's Bruno Fernandes starting the attack. Now Ronaldo sends it forward to Leão, who's immediately involved. He cuts it towards the middle, maybe looking for something himself. Leão has to pull it back again. He's well defended by Vecino.
The way things are going now, your 2-2 prediction could definitely come to fruition. Both sides are just going end to end, full out attacking. I wouldn't be shocked at this point if there were more goals in this game.
A steal and a sweep forward by Valverde. It's taken away, and Portugal now on the attack the other way. Silva on to Ronaldo. Ronaldo looking to make something happen. He meets the leg of an Uruguayan defender. No foul called, much to the big number 7's display. And now it's Uruguay coming to the other side of the pitch. They are Arrasqueta to Palistri, the two subs for Uruguay coming in on the attack. De Arrasqueta back to Palistri. Low cross. De Arrasqueta headed away. High ball looking for Cavani, and Portugal clears it as we'll reset in the 71st minute. 1-0 to score. Bruno Fernandes in the 54th minute puts Portugal tentatively in the knockout stages. Uruguay really is in a win and you're in scenario, though.
Yeah.
Looks like Suarez is getting ready to come on. Two Uruguayan players standing next to the referee are Suarez and Maxi Gomez.
Two attacking options. We'll see who they go in for. I'll be interested to see because, with this formation change and already having Palestrian, who are they going to go in for? What they're going to do? If they're going to take out Nunez, I do believe Cavani should come off, but I still think Nunez has a little bit left in him. I could see him end up getting a goal, but we'll see what happens.
And good defense by Portugal. Bernardo Silva, Joao Cancelo helping Matias Oliveira into the corner flag. As it is Nunez coming off for Maxi Gomez, and Luis Suarez will come on. Unsure who he will take off. An interesting substitution. Cavani coming off for Suarez makes a lot of sense, but a surprising move to take off Darwin Nunez.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think that Gomez can provide. I know he's still not playing in La Liga now, but he was a good forward in that league, and I think a good backup guy to have for Uruguay, especially in just the last 20 minutes. I don't think he's someone that's going to get more than maybe 20, 30 minutes a game, but I think he's a good, solid option to have coming off the bench.
And Cavani and Luis Suarez are coming off. Cavani exchanged for Luis Suarez. Suarez, Uruguay's all-time goal-scoring leader with 68. Cavani, 10 behind him. And I do think it is smart to have the strikers change. Just fresh legs up front as Uruguay desperately searches for their first goal. A draw against South Korea in their first match. South Korea, the next opponent of Portugal. They are still fighting for their spot after the loss to Ghana, who were in the driver's seat behind the Portuguese side, who, if the score holds, will punch their ticket to the knockout stage. Brazil advanced earlier on today. France, the defending champions a couple days ago, punched their ticket, and the Portuguese side would join them.
Yeah, and speaking of France, they obviously broke the world-renowned World Cup curse, and they just by far look like the best team in the tournament. Mbappe is on another level right now, and it's going to be I don't know if anyone can take them out the way they're playing right now. If Mbappe keeps playing the way he's playing, they're going to be a very tough team to face in the knockout group.
And Uruguay had their best chance of the match. Off the post, Maxi Gomez almost made an immediate impact. And I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I remember waking up that day when France was playing. Australia got the early goal, but after that, just a light went off in France without the Ballon d'Or winner in Karim Benzema. A light just went off, and they looked unstoppable in really the second three-quarter component of that match against Australia, and then just the entirety of the Denmark fixture. Just they look unbeatable, and obviously the depth in that team unparalleled as well.
Yeah, even without Paul Pogba and Conte, they still have the players to fill in and be, if not the best team in the world.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing the injuries that they have, the stardom that they are missing. Pogba, Conte, not in this World Cup. Benzema lost in training, not in this World Cup. A guy who was set after one of the best individual seasons in, I think, at least the last 5-10 years for Benzema and Real Madrid. Just what he has done for that team following Cristiano Ronaldo leaving is spectacular. He was primed for a big World Cup. He gets lost before the first match. Two of the best midfielders on the planet, injured, unable to play. But Francis shook it off like they were just guys that got cut from the team.
Yeah.
'77th minute, Uruguay ramping up possession up to 30% now for the first time since the first half, as a yellow card is issued to Joao Felix. Second yellow of the day for the Portuguese. First of the tournament for Joao Felix in his inaugural World Cup. Dangerous free kick. Left side, about 25 yards out. De Arrasqueta will stand over the ball. I want to hear what you guys are thinking in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel as well. Plenty more World Cup content coming from State of Soccer. De Arrasqueta. Two-man wall for Portugal. He sends the low cross in. Header misses everyone, and outside of the net, Luis Suarez, his first touch, almost is another goal.
And if there is another goal coming, it definitely seems at this point that it is going to fall to Uruguay. They're really putting on the pressure and have gotten close several times. A lot of dangerous balls into the box for them.
And that's the best chance they've had. Suarez tight on the keeper, just unable to tuck it into the near post. Uruguay coaching staff, hands to their head, so close. Now the Uruguayans control. I won't say Portugal's parking the bus, but they're definitely sitting back a bit more. As here comes Uruguay. De Arrasqueta, dangerous chance. Chip shot saved. Diogo Costa, what a performance he's put on this World Cup. A fingertip stop to save the lead.
Yeah, and maybe the Portuguese manager saw something in him that other people haven't seen, and that's why Rui Patricio's out, because he's had an unbelievable game so far.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The Portuguese manager certainly seems to have made the right call. Doesn't matter the service time Rui Patricio's put in. Diogo Costa has been spectacular tonight.
Yeah.
Two massive saves on one-on-one opportunities. '80th minute now. Uruguay back on the attack. Ball in the midfield. Sent out wide. Goes out of bounds off of Portugal. And Uruguay will throw it in. Bruno Fernandes, the difference maker in terms of the goal scoring. Diogo Costa making an effort for man of the match as a cross is headed away. And knocked away again by Portugal. Leao controls, playing a lot more of that left wing back role. Very back deep into defense is Portugal, trying to preserve this lead, because as the score stands, the Portuguese would be in the knockout round. Just two teams have clinched a spot. France with 6, Brazil with 6 in their group. Portugal looking to becoming the third.
And sometimes when that's the case, you do have to sit back and defend for the last 15 to 10 minutes of a game. Uruguay is definitely going to send numbers up, so it's just whether or not Portugal can hold off the storm.
Cancelo heading away a ball. Now a corner kick for Uruguay. De Arrascaeta wastes no time as it sent a low cross in and deflected away by Portugal. Two more substitutions, maybe even 3 coming on for the Portuguese. Joao Felix looks like he's going to come off. And Ronaldo coming off for Portugal, along with William Carvalho. Surprised to see Cristiano Ronaldo exit the match, but just in need of defense are the Portuguese side. Pepe will take the armband from his former club teammate, Matias Nunez, Gonçalo Ramos, and João Paulinho coming on for Portugal. And Portugal is just preparing to park the bus at this point.
Yeah, subbing out all the remainder of their attackers and putting on 3 defensive-minded midfielders definitely alludes to the fact that they're going to sit in for this last portion of the game and try and get away without giving a goal up. Like I said, sometimes you just have to do that and absorb the pressure. Now they're going to try and do what Uruguay did the first half, let the other team have the ball, just bend and not break. And we'll see if they'll be able to do that for the last 8 or so minutes.
And Ronaldo certainly didn't look happy about being taken off. Uruguay has 1 sub yet. Portugal is all out. Ball going down the left side. Rafael Leao now seems to be the main attacking option for the Portuguese. He takes it himself. Long distance shot deflected. And that's going to be a corner kick for Portugal. Although they're running away like it's a goal kick. It looked to me like that hit off at the defender. But yeah, goal kick for Uruguay here. '84th minute. 2 teams currently in the knockout stage, 2 teams currently out of it, including the host nation of Qatar and Canada. Canada will be one of the hosts in 2026, so we could see more of that side in North America. Portugal looking to become the 3rd team to advance. They're searching for what would be a clinching goal virtually.
Yeah, and this attack is going to take a lot of pressure off the defense. Any minutes or seconds they can hold on to the ball this late in the game is huge for their defense. And I'm sure Uruguay is going to do whatever they can to get the ball back. But Portugal seem to be pretty comfortable with this attack going forward right now.
Now it's Rafael Guerreiro. Uruguay really pushing. 2 guys seem to be chasing the ball no matter where it goes. As Uruguay gets control. Five minutes remaining. We'll see how much extra time they have. Can't imagine it'll be much more than 5 minutes.
No, yeah. I mean, this game has gone pretty smoothly. Just besides all the subs, the only other injury I think was Ruben Neves. So that'll add maybe a minute or 2. I don't think there will be a lot of added time.
85th minute now. Tomorrow, the United States in a win or go home scenario against Iran. USA has the advantage on goal differential, but 2 draws. Iran had that late victory against Wales.
Yeah, I mean that group is up for grabs as well, just like this one. I think USA fans will be, you know, pleased with where the team currently is, only needing a win against Iran. But we saw Iran come out with a late win against Wales. But I thought the US played tremendous against England, and if they can carry that performance into the game tomorrow, I don't think they'll have a problem getting into the qualifiers.
I think honestly the two Iranian goals in that Wales match came with 10 men on a backup goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wayne Hennessy kicking someone in the face certainly had something to do with Iran's resurgence in that. I think some
Yeah.
U.S. fans would not be pleased, myself included, with how that Wales game ended. Just not a
Mm-hmm.
smart penalty by Walker Zimmerman. But here we stand, the 2-2, the 0-0 draw, against England. Certainly a bit more pleasing to American
Yeah.
fans. 87th minute. We have some more action in the comments section. You should listen to Giuseppe D'Angelo, like and subscribe to our channel. And to answer your other question, Ronaldo did not score the goal. He claimed credit for it initially, but it missed his head. Bruno Fernandes is the goal scorer for Portugal in this match. But yeah, definitely listen to him and like and subscribe. A lot more World Cup content, whole lot of soccer content during the regular seasons as well. Right now, it's 1-0 Portugal. Josh Sperber and Carter Houlihan here. The Portuguese minutes away from punching a ticket in the knockout stage. Showing two of the most decorated sides in World Cup play. No team has won more World Cups than Brazil, and France, of course, won two of the World Cups, at least in my lifetime, including 2018, 30 years after they won their first, or 20 years after they won their first.
Yeah, and honestly, those are two of the favorites to win this one too. Besides Argentina, those are the two names or two countries I've heard the most from people about who are going to win this World Cup, and they can back those arguments pretty well when they're already out of when they're the first two teams out of the group stage.
Portugal certainly has to be emerging as a favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I think people thought Argentina would do better than Portugal, but we see complete dominance from Portugal. This game, and although the scoreline was pretty close last game, I don't think there was a doubt that Portugal would ever end up losing that game.
It's Ruben Diaz getting a yellow card, his first of the tournament.
Ooh.
As Uruguay.
I don't think they'll look at it, but that Bruno Fernandes nutmeg seemed to have a come off the Uruguay's defender hand in the box. I don't think the refs caught that, or I don't think VAR will look at it, but just something interesting.
Corner kick now for Portugal. They stand in the lead, 1-0, thanks to Bruno Fernandes about half an hour ago. And a potential penalty kick, so I think you're right. We'll see what VAR checks.
I do think this, after looking at the replay, I do think this will end up being a penalty.
Fernandes goes through Jose Maria Jimenez, and as he's coming down, it appears his left hand touches the ball, and that seems pretty clear to me. It should be a penalty for Portugal.
Yeah, I definitely think that is going to be a penalty.
The referee comes out and points to the spot. Bruno Fernandes, who has a goal already, was one of the most successful penalty kick takers in the Premier League last year for Manchester United. And he has a chance to seal Portugal's place in the knockout stage. Argentina, or wow, Uruguay can't believe it.
I
That
mean, I
seems
don't really
pretty
know what
clear.
they're arguing about there. I think that's clear as day, a handball. But yeah, with Ronaldo off the field now, this is this is for Bruno to take, and I don't see him not scoring this. He's a class penalty taker. I think, but you never know. We have seen some penalties missed already in this World Cup. I think two of them, 2 saves so far from the goalies for penalties.
I think we've seen more penalties stopped than penalties scored in
Yeah.
the World Cup so far. That would certainly be beneficial for Uruguay, as we have 9 minutes of extra time now, but not sure it'll matter if Fernandez slots home this PK. Portugal flags waving in the stands as Uruguay continues to argue the penalty, but finally it'll be Bruno Fernandes setting up and getting ready for it. Wait, it doesn't look like I think it's Rafael Leo that's going to be standing up. Interesting choice. No, it's Fernandez again. Well, I think Leo was just helping him set the ball up.
Yeah.
But unsurprisingly, it's Bruno Fernandes set to take the penalty. A goal to his name already. Will there be a second? Fernandes. Easy one. Bruno Fernandes. Second goal of the match. Portugal is well on their way. 2-0.
Yeah, and that's just a class penalty from Bruno. He has the composure there, and just slots it in, sends the keeper the wrong way. Looks like he got his penalty tactics from Jorginho with the little jump before he took it. But yeah, just sends the keeper the wrong way. Nothing the keeper can do about it. And calm and collected finish.
If you told me a Portuguese man was going to have a brace in this match, I wouldn't have guessed Fernandes.
No, not at all.
And that's nothing against him. He's a very capable scorer, but I would have thought it would be Ronaldo with 2. Certainly active in the match was Ronaldo, but it's been Bruno Fernandes helping his side through. 6 minutes remaining in the game, and Portugal seems set to clinch the 3rd of 16 places in the knockout stage.
Yeah, and that's a huge goal for them, kind of just taking all the pressure and stress off their shoulders. I mean, even if Uruguay gets one before the game ends, it's unlikely that this game is going to end in anything other than a Portuguese win. I think they can kind of just sit back and relax a little bit, just be calm with it.
Backheel flip to Diogo Costa. International goals number 12 and 13 for Fernandes for the Portuguese. 2 of them in the World Cup. As now Portugal has a chance on the counter, but Uruguay plenty of numbers back. Deflected out of bounds. Off now Bernardo Silva will control the header for Portugal. 5 minutes until they clinch a spot in the knockout stage, and the fans and players of Uruguay looking defeated on the sides there. Seems like Sean McIntyre is keeping his life savings. Tennyson might not be, though. Costa sends it forward, as Portugal really can afford to park the bus. 2 goals to their lead with 4 minutes remaining. Uruguay, a frantic attack forward. We'll wait until December 2nd to see how the second spot in this pays out. Uruguay will play Ghana. Portugal will play South Korea. Here comes Portugal again. They might have a third in them, but it's quickly taken away by the Uruguayan defense. You look at the table, Portugal with a +3 goal differential, and it would be 6 points. Ghana is even in goal differential with 3 points currently. Uruguay and South Korea with 1 point apiece. Uruguay's goal differential now -2. They're in last. South Korea at -1.
Yeah, and honestly, I think maybe a dark horse for the second team to come out of this group could be South Korea. Um, just due to the fact that Portugal have already made the knockout stage. Maybe they'll come out with a weaker lineup, and I wouldn't put it past South Korea to get a win against a weaker sided Portugal, and Uruguay to take points away from Ghana. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think this is setting up to be a great final match for Group H.
Yeah, and you gotta imagine that some of the older guys, especially for Portugal, I'm looking at Ronaldo and Pepe, will not be in the starting lineup against South Korea just to get that extra rest. I mean, Ghana needs 3 goals and a Portuguese loss to win the group.
Mm-hmm.
If Portugal gets a point, next week they'll all but secure a Group H victory.
Mm-hmm.
So really nothing they need to do except for not lose by like 4 goals.
Yeah.
And as good as South Korea has been offensively, and with the talent of Heung-min Son leading them, I don't think that they can make up 4 goals on Portugal.
Yeah.
And here might be a potential for a third. Here's a breakaway for the Portuguese. Silva crosses it, looking for Fernandez, the hat trick, not to be. And it's deflected away off the foot of Rocher. Corner for Portugal.
He wants that hat trick. Great play, great build-up play from Portugal there. Surely thought was going to be a third goal, but good save from the keeper.
Great positioning from the young Uruguayan. Another goalkeeping controversy. Fernando Muslera has been a mainstay in between the pipes for this Uruguayan side for many years. And it's Rocher who won the favor of his coach, Diego Alonso. 1 minute remaining. 2 goals to Portugal's advantage. And they have all but clinched a place in the knockout stage. Here's Portugal again. They're getting a lot of chances. Long distance shot off the post. Portugal close to getting a third. And Bruno Fernandes really looking at hat.
Yeah, he really wants that. This is a really nice strike from him there. Dying to get that third goal. Just unlucky to hit it off the post.
He got closer in each of his last 2 shots.
Yeah.
There's a foul called, and Portugal ready to just wait this one out.
Yeah, the whistle should be coming very shortly. I know there was a little bit of VAR controversy, which may add a couple seconds on, but
honestly, I think that's why it got to 9 minutes, because just from the run of play and the substitutions, you didn't have 9 minutes of extra time, even with the obligation for the refs to add more extra time. But I'd imagine that we'll see a final whistle very shortly.
Yeah.
The final seconds of this match. Uruguay passing it around, but it is a foregone conclusion that Portugal is the third team to advance. We'll see Ronaldo in the knockout stages, a chance at his first World Cup trophy. Leao gets knocked down. No foul called. The whistle is imminent. We'll see 100 minutes total of this match. Portugal, a 2-goal victory over Uruguay, a convincing win over the 2-time champions. And it should be cleared any second now. Diogo Costa picks it up in the 100th minute of this match with the 9 minutes of extra time here. And that is where it concludes. Portugal 2, Uruguay nothing. And the third spot in the knockout stages has been clinched. 2 games for every squad in this World Cup. And it's the Portuguese who will advance. A massive, massive win.
Yeah, and that was not every game's going to be flawless, but for Portugal, that's as close as you're going to get there. 2 goals on the offensive end and not many chances for Uruguay, besides the Bentancur chance being the best chance of the game for them. Just all throughout the lineup, the attack, the midfield, and defense played very well for Portugal, and the goalie, not to forget to mention him. But yeah, a great mark for Portugal heading into the final game and ultimately the group or the knockout rounds.
And this was a tough group for Portugal. A lot of resurgent teams, a lot of great attackers on both sides. Portugal threw pretty handily. Ghana gave them a scare, but they were in complete and total control of the team. Many said, and you were one of those people, Carter, who said that Uruguay was the next strongest team in this group.
Yeah, I definitely thought so. Uruguay, when it comes to the World Cup, they've played good. They're a team that is very familiar with the knockout stages, and Portugal handled them like they were just another team. Didn't really scare them at all today.
So Portugal, 2 wins, no losses, +3 on the goal differential. Ghana behind them in second, 3 points with a win and a loss. That loss coming to Portugal. Goal differential at even. Portugal needs a loss and 3 goals made up by Ghana not win the group. They've got South Korea next, but they are in the knockout stage, and it seems pretty likely that they'll take the group. But if you're Portugal's manager, who are you starting? Who are you benching from your big names just to try and get some rest?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think Pepe is someone, you can throw in another center back. I think Ronaldo, surely, just due to his age, I'm sure he wants to play and, could still do it, but I just still think it would be good for him to get a rest. And I'm sure there are many other players that have minor knacks and little injuries here and there that maybe will start, but just not get as much minutes as they're used to getting. I think we'll definitely see changes on the starting lineup and for Portugal to use all 5 subs fairly early into that match.
And I think it gives a chance for a younger guy like Rafael Leao to get a World Cup start under his belt. So, but if obviously if Portugal sees the group, the winning of the group in danger, then you could put Ronaldo in late in the second half to try and get a goal. But yeah, I think they might not start him. But now we can look ahead as Group H is in control of Portugal. 6 points, 2 wins for the favorites to win that group and one of the favorites to win this World Cup. But we look ahead to tomorrow, group stage or Group A, in very much in tension. Obviously, we have the United States and the United States looking to advance.
Yeah, I mean, biggest game maybe in this in the United States' recent history, but definitely the biggest game. It's a win and they're in. That's pretty much it. Not a lot to be said about it. I think they should be feeling fairly confident after the England game. I thought they, you know, played better than England. People may disagree here and there, but I truly thought they played better than England. And with an Iran team that has been struggling, that struggled their first game and beat a 10-man Welsh team, I think the U.S. goes into this game feeling confident about their chances on advancing.
United States and Iran, England and Wales in Group B. In Group A, a win and you're in match for Senegal as well against Ecuador, and then Netherlands looks to cement control of the group with a match over Qatar, in which they're heavily favored.
Yeah, I think Netherlands will top this group. Just even if Ecuador wins, I think Netherlands will score a couple goals on Qatar. But yeah, this Ecuador-Senegal game is a very underrated game. Winning you're in for both of those teams, and they're two teams that have been playing very well throughout the group stages. providing entertaining games. The one thing for Ecuador is I'm not sure if their leading goal scorer, and I think tied for the most goals in the tournament, Enter Valencia will be playing. I know he picked up an injury last match. I don't know if he'll be fit and ready for that game, which would be a huge blow to Ecuador.
Injured his knee in the last match against the Netherlands, but Valencia does expect himself to play. I know he's certainly going to fight to. One guy that we will miss in that Ecuador and Senegal match, Sadio Mane, who was ruled out of this World Cup. And that's a massive loss.
Yeah, that's by far the biggest loss of the tournament, maybe for any team. Senegal, excuse me, have looked very dangerous in both their group stage matches, but I just can't imagine how much more dangerous they would be if they had their main guy in the squad.
Yeah, and that really changes the face of that game. In that match, a draw advances Ecuador, a win advances Ecuador. Senegal needs a win. Doing without Sadio Mane will be difficult, but there's still some strength on that squad. That'll be the earlier of the two matches. That'll be the one that people certainly have their eyes on. But obviously, U.S. Iran, at least for many of the people watching this stream, that is the end all be all of the World Cup. United States a chance to advance to the second round. But that's going to do it for our stream here. We want to thank all of you guys for being so active in the comments in this. Want to thank McKenna May in the studio. She has been so helpful to us and so great in keeping this stream up and running and on the production side. Really appreciate the work that she has done. And Carter, great to work with you again. Two Lafayette guys talking soccer, man. Gotta love it.
Yeah, gotta love it.
But that'll do it for us. Josh Sperber, Carter Houlihan. I want to give you a big thank you. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram, SO Soccer TV on both, and make sure to hit that subscribe button to this channel as well. A big match for the United States tomorrow. Thank you all for watching, and we hope you enjoyed our World Cup Watchalongs. Have a good one, everybody.